Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
What is Parti-Gyle Brewing? Which commercial beer best represents America? And some general Keezer questions. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 307. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call, get a $25 gift card when you leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107. I'm your host, Joshua Stubing, joined always, or as often as I can, by my co-host. First introducing, he is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns, who was late with lunch today. Gentlemen, how are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm not holding that against you. I just wanted to mention it to our dozens of fans that you showed up to lunch about 40 minutes after you said you were probably going to be back, and I was getting hangry. Did you notice my attitude today? I don't know if you've noticed.
You know, I mean, you're the only person I know that goes nuts if they eat 10 minutes after noon. So.
I don't go nuts. I'm a hungry kid. I'm a growing boy, is what my mom says.
A lot of times I don't eat till 1 or 2, you know, so it's no skin off my back, you know.
Yeah. I always, and I fall for it every time, though, because you're like, oh, I'll be back. I'm going to run some errands and I'll have lunch when we get back. And it's like 10 in the morning. I'm like, oh, that's perfect timing. He'll be back by noon. And then I'm calling you at like 12.
I had to go 3 places, and then I had to go all the way across town to meet my wife to get your soup that you forgot this morning.
You forgot it. I forgot to remind you maybe, but you did forget it. Caldo. Oh, it was so good. We had it for dinner, James, Monday night, and then then he brought some leftovers for lunch today because I forgot them yesterday. It was supposed to be for lunch yesterday, but I love caldo. It's caldo weather. I didn't see what you were eating. Was that you've been bringing, like, I saw you with soup, doing like grilled cheese soup. That's one of my favorite lunches when it's cold. Today was like
just trying to cut costs, you know.
You're telling me, dude, everybody, right? It's
yeah, I mean, lunch now you could get decent lunch for $5-6. Now it's $10-11. And that's wasted money if I can just bring what I can bring or get a canned soup. Any more beef stew today, baby.
A lot of bread, no pun intended. It just costs a lot of money to eat nowadays. I'm in for people watching us here. Let me see if I can change this. There it is. You see, I'm in the old office, which is actually I have to start breaking this down. We have some people moving in over here next month. Exciting stuff going on here up at headquarters. But I haven't sat at this chair. Normally, the last few visits have been coming up, guys. I've been sitting at Todd's desk at his other table in his office, just staring at him all day. I think you wanted me there for accountability or something. I forgot what you said when you made me start setting up in your office, Todd, but
I wanted you in my office.
no, I'm just saying I haven't been setting up on this side because it's also very lonely over here. For many trips, I would come over here, but y'all are all on the other side of the campus. I just wanted to be in the mix, but I do have to break this down. Small talk that's relevant, not relevant, or sort of. This week, we're recording this on Wednesday. I am publishing it on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone watching and listening the day we publish it. I hope you're with family. Hope you're enjoying great beer. Hope you're enjoying great food. I know we are. But the reason we're doing that, not just because it's Thanksgiving Day, but we're going to be swamped Friday because it is Black Friday. So we've got, this is the most infomercial part of the show, I promise. I'll get through it quick. We have some incredible deals going on at kegconnection.com/sale. My favorite, Todd, the kits that you made, you're calling them, it's a lot of alliteration. The Keg Connection Keezer kit in a kettle. Talk about that.
Yep. Basically Keezers. A lot of people order our kits to make Keezers, and the controller that we use, the Inkbird, it actually has MAP pricing, so we can't discount that. So what we did is we put it in a kit, and that kit includes the Inkbird, so you're able to build. It basically has everything you need to build a Keezer except for the freezer. And then we went ahead and we're going to pack it in a 7.5 gallon, I believe that's right, kettle,
stainless steel kettle.
Yeah, stainless steel kettle.
Yeah. So
that you'll have something to brew with as well. It's our little Christmas present to you. So we basically took the whole value of all of those items and we discounted it 40% off the retail. So it's a really, really good price and a really great way to build a kettle and get some extra goodies while you're in the process. So, and I think people will be popular.
It ships out for $9.95 too. It qualifies. Everything on our store this weekend is qualifying for $9.95 flat rate shipping.
Absolutely.
Which if people shipped anything anywhere in the last few months, you'd know that that's not covering shipping costs. But it's what we're doing anyways, just to kind of sweeten the deal for our customers. But I wanted to make sure people understood that was your idea for the kit, the Keezer kits and a kettle from Keg Connection.
And a Keg Connection Keezer kit.
It was your idea because someone's going to email and go, Josh, is this one of your weekly cringe ideas? Is this what's going on? No, it was Todd's idea.
So what the deal is we got a great deal on these kettles and we've got a decent amount of them. And we were like, we'll put them on a really good sale price. Well, the problem with these things is they're so big that if you ship them by themselves, you're running into the FedEx rate where they actually charge you for the size instead of the weight. So we might as well put some weight in them if we're going to ship them out, because otherwise, if we sell them at a really, really good price, we end up losing money only because of the shipping,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think this is a great way to get those kettles out to people and also save them some money on everything else that they needed to build a Keezer. So
definitely. And we launched letting people know, because I get emails like this all the time. We'll do a sale and then they'll go, well, but next week is Black Friday. Is it going to be any lower priced? The complete kit that we put up there is a 2-faucet fridge kit that comes with the kegs, that comes with everything you need for a Keezer, and it comes with the CO2. That's not going any lower, guys, on price. We've sold a few of them, and I believe that that's my second favorite item going, because it's such a, again, too, if you're trying to get into kegging, this kit just gives you what you need, and out of the box, you build your Keezer. Yeah. That's like your favorite style of order, right? Like, just tell me what I need to make it, to draft beer out of a Keezer and give it to me. Like, that's kind of, you had been preaching that to me for a while. We're like, let's just make a kit for the customers where they don't have to overthink it. We just ship them what they need right out of the box. Boom. They can start drafting. Literally, go get your CO2 filled, put your beer in those kegs, set up your Keezer, and you're drafting with that kit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another great thing about them too, when you're dealing with that kind of kit, is during the Christmas season, we get a lot of calls from spouses, and they will say, I want to get my husband or my wife a kit so that they can draft beer, but I don't know what options to pick. So we pick the options for you. we know what most people want, so I think it's a good way to do it as a gift as well. So.
Absolutely. And back on that Keezer kit and a kettle from Keg Connection, because first you had 3Ks, and I go, guy, we can't do 3Ks. We got to make it a 4K, because if we do a 3K, people are going to think it's some dog whistle. And I'm half Mexican, but we're all a little too pale skinned to be just doing the crazy keg kit or whatever, 3Ks. But that kit, if people will call in and say, well, I don't really need the kettle, gift it to someone you want to get into. I mean, that kettle is a perfect size for 5-gallon batches, all grain or at strap brewers. Like that 7.5 gallon has been popular in years past. Or was it last year that we got them? Was it 2 years ago or last year that we got those kettles? I forget.
I don't remember.
Either way, they've been super popular with people.
But we got like a huge number of them. I mean, we got a huge number of them.
When there have been people who are making creative use out of it, because it's almost like when we do big keg sales, which we have good discounts this weekend, guys, on kegs. It's not like it used to be in years past, but nobody can do that with kegs because of availability and whatnot. But the kettles are like that, where it's like I could always use a 7.5 gallon kettle, like on brew day, like for heating up my sparge water for a 5-gallon batch. Or for actually doing the boil in, or there it's very multi-use, and it being stainless steel helps out a lot too. A premium metal, it's a premium kettle. Pardon me. I don't know if stainless steel is a premium metal, but it's a great kettle at a good size.
I would call it a premium
metal, premium kettle. I like to rhyme sometimes. But so if you go, guys, to kegconnection.com/sale, or just go to kegconnection.com, you'll see all the deals there. One of the reasons I'm also harping on it, we like transparency here. This time of year, it's like our email platform or something, technologically speaking, has to fail catastrophically. And it happened this morning. I log in, or Todd logs in to his admin for our email server. He goes, Josh, why? Your whole inbox is disabled. Well, it turns out because of people either marking our newsletter as spam or a misunderstanding from our provider or our email and marketing provider. I don't have an email inbox, guys. Y'all can reach me at joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, but Joshua at Keg Connection does not exist right now till we get this sorted out, which means our whole newsletter, today's been fun, I guess is what I'm getting at, because I've been having to scramble, finding alternative ways. How can we reach because we have a very large size of customer subscribers to that newsletter from people who've bought from us in the past or who sign up through kegconnection.com. And we want to let them know about the deals. And right now, I'm trying to find creative ways of doing it. So that's why people, if you're asking, he's really pushing stuff on the episode this week. It's because I'm not sure you're going to get the emails. So I'm trying to cover my bases so that Todd doesn't have me freshen up.
You're going to get the emails. You determine how to do it, right? You're going to send it from somewhere else.
Yeah. I'm confident that we're going to get it out. I'm just not,
because we really want you on the show next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, this morning, Todd sent me a LinkedIn thing on refreshing your LinkedIn profile. I don't know what that was about. It was touching up your resume for the new year or something like that. I didn't read it.
I just thought you might find it useful.
Just thought you'd like it.
We'll talk about it on Friday.
Yeah, that's what when James, after my inbox, we were trying to get it sorted out. He goes, oh yeah, let's we got to talk on Friday. So anyways, have a good day. So yes, all the deals there. Oh, Trub Club members, you're going to love this if you have just tuned in and not been paying attention. We are brewing the very delicious, let me see if I can get it up on the screen. Boom, there it is. The Celebration Happy Holiday Ale Clone. It's a clone recipe kit for the Celebration beer from Sierra Nevada. We're shipping it out with the premium yeast that we get from our friends at Imperial. It's their flagship strain. It's like a 05 strain. It's a very delicious recipe. Todd, you have been talking about Christmas beer a lot lately. I
was really looking forward to brewing it this weekend.
And also you didn't mention this whole trip to me yet, how any disappointment that I couldn't find you the Anchor beer. I tried to get it before my trip and I couldn't find it. I don't know if it's released in our market yet, because I looked at specs in San Marcos and then I did, and they didn't have it.
It seems awfully late to not have it out.
I know it's released because I looked at it online. I think they started releasing it in late October, but I don't know if our market has it. But my next trip is in not even 2 weeks. When I come up, I should be able to get it. Then. Yeah. Total Wine and More is probably going to have it. The one's up maybe North Austin, but anyway. So let me put that back on the screen there for people. Where is it? Boom! There it is. The Celebration Happy Holiday Ale Clone. If you go,
love that beer.
Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Sign up for any of the recipe receiving tiers, and you're going to get this delicious recipe sent out to you. And like I've said before many a times, if you join the 35, which is every other month, just message me, text me at 325-305-6107 or DM me on Patreon, and we'll work with you. You could start your every other month on the month you sign up. You're not supposed to, but we make exceptions, especially as long as you don't burn us. That's all I'm saying. Just don't burn us.
You got burned last time, right?
One time I've been burned in going on, I guess it's been 2.5 or 3 years of the club. So that's not bad considering we've had
most, vast majority of homebrewers are such great people and honest, and we don't have to worry about it.
That's right. They're honest and great. You almost sounded sarcastic, but he's not lying. He's telling the truth.
No, I'm not. I'm serious.
That's just your everyday voice. All right. So anyways, all that small talk out of the way, all this information is in the show notes at homebrewhappyhour.com. Find the episode. You can see everything we've talked about, all of our sponsor information, everything there. So with that being said, before we get into the 3 questions that we have for this show,
it's time for listener feedback.
We do have listener.
Whoa!
What was that?
Music.
Did that blow your eardrums out?
No, it
was not there.
Completely, it wasn't there.
Oh, no way. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Do I need to hold on a second?
James
I was thinking you improved it.
Listener feedback.
Oh, James is going to be upset that it doesn't work anymore.
Oh no. Do I gotta do it again?
Yep. Now you gotta have to re-record it looks like.
Anyway,
let's hear.
So we got listener feedback from our buddy Josh from Omaha, and it's about adding color to smash beers.
Hey guys, Josh from Omaha here. Hope your holiday season is off to a great start. And Josh, I hope your breakfast stout turns out great. It sounds good every year when you guys talk about it. I'm always jealous that I don't get to try a little bit of it. Just wanted to call in with some feedback on the question last week regarding how to add some color to a smash beer. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience in roasting my own grains at home, but I do know a base malt that could be used to impart a nice kind of deep amber color to your beer, and that would be a base malt called Red X. My local homebrew store has some in stock, and I think they list the Levy Bond as being at about 12 or so. I've used it in a couple beers, not purely by itself, but one time was about 90% of the grain bill with a little bit of flaked corn as an adjunct. Didn't have any efficiency problems. I think it does a good job as a base malt and does impart a nice kind of deep amber color to the beer as well as a nice kind of rich malty backbone. And so for the listener last week, you could certainly try that out and kind of see what other pairings you could have with that for a nice darker colored smash beer. Thanks.
Boy, I like it. I think we should do it. Let's do one. That's a great idea. I love smash beers, and that'd be cool. I like red beers. So I think we should do one.
It's got good I'm looking at it right now. It's got good diastatic power. You can use 100% of it as a base malt. It's 11 to 13 Levy Bond. That's a great idea. I think at one time we had some of that to try. We were talking about
we used
doing
to carry
a red.
I mean, we still have some upstairs, I think.
Maybe so. Yeah,
Not
we were thinking
much,
about using this for the red beer recipe.
Yeah.
I'll have to go upstairs and look. I got to bring a pack of Willamette back to my pop, so I'll be up there here in a little bit, anyways, and I'll look for that because that is interesting. We didn't get a ton of feedback about the roasting part, but he wasn't the only one who messaged about Red X. This is why I appreciate our community, because that's something that, I mean, you, James, specifically, you probably heard of that malt before, but it just didn't come to the forefront of our mind because we don't really brew with it frequently, right? Like it's a good thing that we have people we can source information from in the community. That's why I love the listener feedback bumper. I'm going to make it work next time for you so you hear the full thing in all of its beauty and glory. But at least the point of the feedback section was fulfilled this week. Josh, we greatly appreciate that. And it's a good time to remind y'all, when you have feedback or a question, call it in as a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $25 gift card to keggconnection.com, courtesy of Mr. Todd Burns right over there. I love giving away Todd's money. And our first question from this...
No, I'm over here.
No, yeah, you are. You're over there. You wave that way and I wave that way. It's the Brady Bunch. Yeah, audio listeners hate that some of the references we make to visuals sometimes. They're like, hey, man, I'm driving. I have no idea what you're like.
Well, it's just funny because it always puts us in different positions on the video feed. So you point over there and I'm in the other direction.
Yeah, well,
on my screen.
Oh,
Todd's there.
No, James, you're there. And Todd, you're there. That's
yeah, it's not consistent ever.
Zoom needs to just let the person running the meeting organize it and show y'all what I have on my screen. Wouldn't that make everything easier? Because then you could go, look at that recipe artwork. That looks pretty good.
I just moved myself, so I'm in the right place. How about that?
Anyways, our first actual question for this week's episode comes from our buddy Kyle from Virginia.
Hey guys, this is Kyle from Virginia calling. I was wondering if any of you have tried something called Parti-Gyle Brewing, and if so, what your experience with it was like and what pointers you might have. I made an old Rasputin clone a couple weeks ago and decided to make a mild porter kind of beer off the second running so I can get 2 batches of beer out of the massive amount of grain I ended up putting in my mash tun. The old Rasputin is going to turn out awesome. It's about 9.5%, and I just need to let it age for several months to get it to where I need to be. But the second runnings, sometimes just call sloppy seconds, turned out about 3.5%, and it's a little too bitter. It's a weird brown color, and I'm not really quite sure what's going on with it. And I'm going to see what it does in a couple of weeks after I carbonate it. But I was just wondering if you guys have ever tried Parti-Gyle Brewing, and what your thoughts are on that, and any pointers would be appreciated, because I would definitely do it again if I thought I was going to get a good beer out of it. Otherwise, I'm just doubling my work for something I don't even want to drink. And just so Josh knows, Parti-Gyle is not a kind of Scottish sweater party. I tried leaving a voicemail before, but I dropped my phone. I'm pretty sure I said a swear word, so please delete that one. And if you decide to put this on the show, thanks for taking my question, and happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that other jazz. Talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Kyle, so he did leave a voicemail kind of back to back, and the original MP3 I was going to input in here because I didn't realize, because again, I listen, but I don't, guys. I don't listen to the whole thing. I get the gist of it, and I'm like, let's use it. And then I listened to a second one, and I was like, oh crap, I got to swap voicemails because this is a family-friendly show. We are.
So
what?
So what I'm hearing, Josh, is Parti-Gyle Brewing. I don't know what that is.
Parti-Gyle. So it's PARTI-GILE maybe. I had written it down because I asked James. So this morning I was putting this together kind of last minute, but
never heard of it.
But I said, James, what do you know about Parti-Gyle? And he was like, not a whole lot. And I said, maybe I won't take that voicemail. He goes, no, you know why we should take it? Because we have such a vast amount of people in our community. Someone's certain to be able to provide feedback later, and we can discuss the premise of it and why we might ever try it or not try it. So, Todd, the gist of Parti-Gyle Brewing is you're taking one mash and you're getting multiple runnings out of it. So like he did with his beer, he did a mash and he got his, what was the big beer he made? The porter.
Well, the transcription says older ass beating.
Yeah, it does say that. It does say that on the, that's how Google.
So I was reading it thinking, I've never heard of older ass beating beer.
His old Rasputin.
But it's old Rasputin.
He did an old Rasputin clone, and that was his first batch. Taking that same mash, he then did a second batch, or to get second runnings off of it for another batch of beer, which is why the second one was so low ABV finishing. Right. And his question, though, was like, what could he have done different to make the second one look as appealing as his old Rasputin? So we can start with that part. James, I know we've never done Parti-Gyle Brewing, right, but when you have grains that are spent for the most part and you're trying to get more out of them, should you be maybe mashing at a higher temperature to get more sugars out, or what could he have done?
No, the temp is the temp and the fuel is the grains, and there's only so much fuel that you can get out of that, no matter how much water you run through it. The problem is you got to watch the gravity on the sparge. You don't want to get below 1010, because then you can introduce tannins into the wort and you can cause some bitterness there. But basically what you're doing with Parti-Gyle Brewing is you're doing 2 batches of beer from 1 mash tun, and you don't do a sparge on the first running. So the first running, if I was going to do it, let's say I wanted to do, 10 gallons of one and possibly 5 to 8 gallons of another, I'm going to fill that all the way up with when I'm doing my mash. It's a percentage of water to grain. So typically you would do like a 40-60. 40% of the total water used for both batches you're going to use for the first batch, and then 60% because you're going to run it through the grains and try to get as much sugar as you can get out of that. But you got to be careful with the gravity. You don't want to get any tannins in it. And keep in mind, as that color leaves the grain, it's going to also do the same thing on the second running. So you're going to get a lighter beer, lower gravity. And but the cool thing is you can do individual hopping because you're boiling them separate, like 2 different batches. The reason why I wouldn't want to do that personally is my recipes are the way I want it for the total volume of beer and the profile and all that. Never thought about, because I always do a sparge, I don't have anything left over when I get a given batch of beer done. That's because my grain bill is what it is for what I'm brewing. But if you're going big, high gravity, then you might have enough left over to do 2 or 3 gallons of something else, just for the hell of it. But
and I was going to
it's
say,
a new concept, and I haven't. This is the first time I've heard about it.
And it's safe to say that this method would only be applied to your first runnings or your first batch, being a big old boozy beer.
Right.
We're not going to do a Parti-Gyle Kolsch. It's already finishing at like 4.5%. And
right.
The second one's
there's no fuel left in that.
There's no fuel.
So
this would be like maybe I didn't look deep into it. This is, again, Kyle, apologies, but community, this is where we'd love your feedback in a form of a voicemail, if you don't mind, at 325-305-6107, because Parti-Gyle Brewing seems like something, I mean, to me, like you said, James, as a home brewer and the volume we're doing, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me in my application. But like a big old recipe, and he's like, man, I got so much out of that first one. Yeah, what can I get out of the second time? And his finishing, what does second one finish at? He said under 3, right? Or it was at 3.
Yeah, I would think it would be low. You were talking super session, like 2.5 to 3.5%.
Right.
So, I mean, really, though, you wouldn't necessarily get a lot more out of it. What you would do is you would use more grain, because to be able to get your first beer where you need it, you'd have to use a lot more. You'd have to use more grain because you're not washing the grain afterwards. You're purposely leaving that extra in there. So you're going to have to use. You wouldn't necessarily save a lot on grain by doing it, I would think, right?
Right. And also, like I said before, we all do our recipes a certain way. We want them to turn out a certain way. So I don't really worry about if I can get something else out of that on a certain batch or a recipe. Because oftentimes, if it's really low, you can hop it up, but it may not turn. It may be, like he said, a little more work than results. The results may not work out for the effort.
Let's trying to troubleshoot his issue where the second runnings were a weird brown color, a little too bitter. I don't know if the bitterness may have been from maybe not properly scaling down the hop additions for the second batch.
It could be like we talked about,
right?
Yeah, because if you drop below 1010, you're washing tannins into the wort, and that can definitely make a difference in the bitterness.
So that could be what's going on. The color, though, what would cause spent grains to be a different color than their first runnings? You think of
all that color goes in that first initial run.
Gotcha.
So, just like anything else, it gets diluted as more water is introduced. So the first one, we're not doing a sparge. We're just pulling that liquid off the mash tun into the boil kettle. So that's your first running, so to speak. That's everything's in there at that time. It's like trying like a washing machine cleaning a shirt. It's just the more water that goes through it, the color goes away and it gets washed into the wort, into the boil kettle. So when you do the second one, you're doing the sparge, then it's pretty much spent, and you're just rinsing residual sugars off the grain bed and hoping you can make something out of that. That's how I took
The
it.
washing machine analogy, thank you for that. You explained it to me like a 5-year-old, and I understand. I appreciate it. Did Todd tell you to do that in future shows? He's like, hey, man, Josh, this guy doesn't get it. You got to go real elementary. I do actually like that because it does make it easier to understand. Yeah. So for Kyle, and also, Kyle, I do like that you called me out not knowing what Parti-Gyle would be. Todd didn't know what it was either. Okay. He had no idea.
Never heard of party time.
That's what, yeah. I love Party Time Brewing. I mean, I prefer the beer.
So I kind of did a modified version of this on my Kolsch last weekend. I forgot to tell y'all, but Bauman helped me because we're brewing it for his daughter's wedding, and we were talking, and I left the machine on too long. I got the water too hot, so I was trying to dilute the water down to cool it down. So before I poured the grains in, and then I started talking and poured the grains in with way too much water in. So, which this is not the first time I've done this. So I knew how to handle it because I've screwed this up several times, but it's amazing to me how much flexibility you have when you're brewing, because it didn't seem to make any difference at all in the end. So, I was supposed to start with about, I think it was 12 and a half gallons or something like that. And I started with like 17 or 16 gallons.
We have done that. You and I brewed
17 gallons. Yeah. So when I was like, golly, Bauman, we're going to have to, because I started pouring the grain in, and then I went, oh crap. And I was like, I don't know if we can get all this grain in there. And we poured it in there. And I mean, if there had been a pebble had dropped in it, a wave would have gone off the edge of the kettle. But I did get it all in there. I got it drained off, and then I went ahead and washed, and man, it turned out perfect. I mean, I hit 1.05, 1.052, huh?
Oh, pardon me. I thought you were talking about your finishing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was speaking out of your Kolsch. I was there as I was there.
Your starting gravity was what, 1052?
52, yeah.
1052, yeah.
And that's exactly what you calculated on the recipe.
It's exactly what I'd calculated. I was shocked. Actually, it was like 1056, and I'm like, damn it. It was a little higher than what I wanted, but that almost always happens on my system, and I always add more water. And I felt like it was a little, I don't know, the hops, we used a different kind of hop. It was kind of hoppy, so I took it up a little higher and got it right. I mean, I say a little higher. I put a little more volume of water in there, and then of course boiled it and put a little more in there, and basically got it exactly where I wanted it, and it tastes great. I tried it. It was done so quick. So I want to mention this too while I know I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, the rabbit trail.
As Josh would say, but. What is that Kolsch that we use? It's Koln is what it's called.
Fru?
By Lallemand.
By Lallemand, yeah,
yes,
Koln, but it's a Kolsch yeast, and they recommend that if you go to their website and you look at their calculation. Now I'm going to throw them under the bus here, but I've emailed them and asked them about this, and they haven't responded. But maybe I'll get a response at some point, and I can get their take on it. But they basically are saying you need 2 yeast packets per 5 gallons of beer. Well, I brewed 17 and a half gallons of beer. The last time you brewed it, James, we read that and we used like 8 packets, and it was way too much. So this time I said, well, we're not going to go all the way down to 3.5 or 4. We're going to go to 5. 5 was too much too. It went nuts. It was done. The 2 things that were real interesting to me, it was done in 48 hours, pretty much done. You were there when I tested. Yeah. It went to 1.007.
Yep.
I always get that point screwed up.
10:07.
And basically, I was like, wow, because I was going to stop it at like 12 or 10, and it was already past that in 48 hours. So it went really fast. But the other thing that was interesting to me, I'm sure y'all have probably run into this before, but I wanted it to be about 68 degrees for the fermentation. And I had the room was 62 degrees. And when I checked it the next morning, the room was 62 degrees, and the wort was
70.
The wort was 70 degrees.
It was 70.
So I actually
there.
had to turn my chiller on to get it back down to 68. So that tells you how much that wort warmed up on its own, despite the temperature in the room. So it's a very interesting brew.
And his batch. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I basically screwed everything up, and it turned out great.
Well, that's what you took the words out of my mouth. I was just saying, James, it's funny. You saw the photo he sent us where his CF15 has no room on it. And he's like, well, that's just foam. Yeah, but it has no room in that fermenter. And
I filled it until it was starting to go over the edge.
Sunday night, I'm hearing, like, he was fixing it because it was kind of backlogging the blow-off tube. And so it would be like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, stop completely, nothing.
Yeah.
And then
loud.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a fun brew.
But then I wake up Monday morning and it's just blah 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 blah. And so we get back from the office Monday night and he's like, I better take a reading. This thing is chugging. It was 10:07 and he goes, oh crap, let's stop it.
And it was still going.
It was chugging.
I don't know what it would have gotten to. It was still going, so
it wasn't
a little.
It wasn't a little fermentation. I mean, on Monday evening, it was still blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. And then, so we tried it. I'm complimenting the Kolsch, and I have this awful gut feeling when you just said you used a different hop, you're going to say, guess what, Josh? It was a Sterling Kolsch.
James, how funny is that? Tell him how funny that is.
Why is it funny?
Because I was telling James, I was like, God, if I was brewing this for myself, I would be so tempted to use Sterling. And so that when he tried the Kolsch, he'd be like, "Oh, this Kolsch is so good. I love this Kolsch."
You think you would have been able to tell, Josh?
I do, because it would have been a pepper Kolsch. I would have been like, "Oh, great, thanks for the pepper Kolsch." I don't know what hop you did use. I'll get that from you, but uncarbonated, just out of the CF15, is going to be good, dude. You spoiled that wedding party. It is going to be a good batch, and I'm mad because all 17 gallons, 3 5-gallon kegs is all going to the wedding. And I'm not invited to Mama's daughter's wedding.
5-gallon kegs actually hold more than 5 gallons.
Barely.
I'm pretty confident we're going to fill all 3 of them to the very top. So that's good.
And there's like
cool.
300 whatever guests there, so he's not coming back with any. It's the worst. It's the worst.
Nothing for Josh.
Yeah, it probably won't last 30 minutes. It'll be gone.
It's going to be gone.
All of it.
Ugh. And then Bauman kind of likes me. His daughter doesn't know me, so I can't just sneak into the wedding. And I'm just here for the Kolsch. Oh, actually, you need someone to serve it? There you go, Todd. You probably need someone to serve. I could wear a tuxedo. I can look very professional. I'm going to get kerschnonkered at the serving desk, but I can serve if y'all need someone. Just tell Bauman.
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
you'll have to talk to Julie about that.
She's going to say no. Are you kidding me? She's met me a couple times. She's a very sweet lady. I don't think she likes me, but I say that about everybody who meets me. Kyle, we digress so much down that rabbit trail, Todd, that to wrap up Kyle's question, again, I think we should solicit people in our community who have done Parti-Gyle. When is the appropriate time you to implement it, or for what, we're all on the same page. It's probably going to be a big beer like that old Rasputin he did, but how would you recommend, what are some tips and tricks you can give us and give Kyle for future Parti-Gyle type brews so that he's not just wasting, he is doing double the work. You want something palatable to be produced if you're putting in the work, or just stop doing it. So those are kind of the two options. But anyways, we solicit that from you, our audience. And Kyle, a great time to remind you that you do get a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com for leaving that voicemail. Anybody can do it at 325-305-6107, or you still get a $15 gift card if you do a text message like our buddy Jack B did, who left it at 325-305-6107. He wrote, Jack Bingham here. With World Cup starting, my friends and I are drinking one beer from each country in the tournament. What beer would you pick to represent USA for our challenge? What about Mexico and Canada? I'll start with USA, because I don't know if I've ever had a Canadian beer. And the Mexico beer actually might be a more of a debate between Todd and I than the USA beer. But let me throw it to you first, Todd. Commercial beer. He didn't say... I'm assuming he means a specific brand and the beer from that brand, not just a style. So if you're picking one commercial beer that would represent USA for the World Cup, what would you pick?
I think Deschutes fresh squeezed IPA to me is as American as you can get. Fresh American hops right in that beer. Yeah, that's mine.
So you think USA? You think IPA? That's your go-to thought for USA?
Well, because it's fresh. It's fresh hops from the hop farm going in immediately, and good old that's the USA for me.
I'm bold claim here, James. He has the worst answer. Now your turn, James.
Oh, it's easy, and you guys can. Hopefully, you'll agree with me on this. Got to be Sam Adams Boston Lager.
That was in my.
That was
at the top of my brain. That was one of them.
That would be to me because I mean he's the story. I mean he was a home brewer. Decided to go big, used a family recipe, and he's got I don't care what anybody says, it's a delicious beer. And if I can't decide, if I'm out of homebrew beer and I see that on the shelf, that's the first one I grab.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I have with that, James, is it just doesn't have enough alcohol for me to be able to watch soccer with.
So Todd's answer is Kyle's Old Rasputin is that's the beer for USA. Back to Kyle.
Yeah, so now that's USA. Now I've got a little twist on this. The Mexico beer is probably going to be Modelo the Dark.
Oh yeah,
I
Negra.
Like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And then Elsinore in Canada.
Never see. I've never had when I looked up beer in Canada, like right before I started setting up over here, it was Labatt was the first one that popped up, and I imagine they're like the Bud maybe of Canada. Labatt. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Labatt.
No,
anybody that probably knows where I'm going. Elsinore was the fictitious beer on Strange Brew.
On Strange.
Do you remember the movie Strange Brew?
I don't. No, Todd.
You've never seen Strange Brew?
Oh.
You got to be kidding me!
I
think it could be Bauman's favorite movie. I think it might be Bauman's favorite movie.
Was it an
time.
'80s movie? Well, when did it come out?
We said it was a fantastic movie. I don't know.
I said was it an
90s,
80s? 1980. It was
I know. That's what I said. I said, yeah. We just said it was it was the best movie ever. So of course it was an '80s movie.
Yeah,
it could have been '90s. I don't remember.
Dave Thomas, and it's got Max von Sydow, and they're Evil Brewery, and they're in Canada, and they do this
Elsinore
TV show, kind of like Wayne's World. They have the
I'm gonna have to.
Let's have a beer, eh?
Elsinore. That's fun. Yeah, people. I hate when I'm not in on the joke because then my stupidity just shines forward. Like, tell us more.
I think it just showed our age.
Yeah, James, tell us more about this Elsinore. That sounds fantastic.
I've looked everywhere. I can't find it.
Yeah, you know what? If y'all wouldn't have let me in on the reference, I would have called you from Total Wine and More. I'm picking up Todd's Anchor Christmas beer. You want some of that Elsinore? Let me ask the clerk. Hey, Elsinore? Yeah, would have been like the blinker fluid pranks that people do.
Exactly.
We should brew
water
one.
pump for a Volkswagen Beetle, you know?
Yeah.
We should brew one and put it on tap and see how long it takes Bauman to notice the name. Yeah.
Oh, that is a great idea. What kind of, in the movie though, what kind of beer? Was it just a lager?
It's just a beer, probably just a regular lager. Yeah. So Rick Moranis drinks a whole vat of beer. He gets thrown in it and he drinks the whole thing and he's like this big balloon. It's a hilarious movie.
Strange Brew. Okay, I'm writing it down.
Strange Brew.
I think this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think what encompasses, I think you have to pick an American lager, Todd, if you're going to pick a beer to represent USA, just based off of popularity of consumption. And so I actually like Yingling's lager. James isn't a huge fan of it, but I'll go even more hipster than that. I think PBR, some Pabst Blue Ribbon, would represent us well in the World Cup of beers. It's award-winning year after year.
Every year.
It wins all the time in its category. It's widely consumed and purchased, so we know the popularity is there for people. I think PBR would be the best representation of American beer for the World Cup. I said.
I thought you were going to say Natty Light.
Oh,
God. You might as well have. You were wrong. I didn't have the worst answer.
Deschutes freshly squeezed IPAs. No one's going to pick that for the world. Like, I don't think IPA is an American, I think a lot of Americans enjoy
You don't think
it.
American IPAs are American, or what?
I would say
What are you
American
saying?
Pale, West Coast Pale is a better choice. Like if you would have said the Sierra Nevada Pale, I would have been like, that's a great choice, Todd.
That was actually, it's funny you say that because that was probably going to be my second choice. But I think that I love that fresh squeezed IPA.
Well, I didn't say what beer do you love, because I would have said like, you know what, the Früh Kolsch import is the best. I know it's imported, I know it's from Germany, but I enjoy it the most. Therefore, it's going to represent. I wouldn't even.
No, it
say,
has to be an American beer, though.
I'm saying I wouldn't even pick, if we were talking Germany, I wouldn't have picked Früh for that, because that's not a representation of the beer culture of their country. I'd probably pick maybe Paulaner's or what's the other.
I would do Versteiner Pils.
Versteiner Pils. Thank you. I was thinking
Favorite beer.
Pilsner. Versteiner Pils is quintessential German lager. And
they're out of Munich, which is Oktoberfest.
That's exactly.
So I think when you think Pils, you think Germany. I do. I don't know if
do as
anybody
well.
else does.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, but for Mexico, James, I'm with you. The Negro Modelo, whoo-wee. Todd, I'm going to say your top would be the Dos Equis Amber? Or
Bohemia.
Oh, I didn't even think about. I might change my answer.
Bohemia is my favorite.
No, you're right. I changed my answer because that's more like the Negro Modelo. It's that time of year. It's a sweeter beer. I enjoy it with cigars. You sometimes have it in your beer fridge, and it's a nice one. The Bohemia is more. Not well round. I mean, I don't know. It's a
little drier beer.
It's a drier beer.
Yeah,
It's definitely drier. Yeah, that's a great answer. I forgot about Bohemia.
When I watch football, I like to drink that. So
it's funny that Jack would ask us this question, and he actually texted it a couple weeks ago before Qatar. I think it's Qatar, however they pronounce it. We say whatever we want. It's my show, and they banned beer 2 days before the World Cup actually started. So you can't even have, if you're there attending, you can't even enjoy a beer while you're watching soccer. How miserable does that sound to you, Todd?
Oh, it's terrible.
Is that the UAE? Is that where they're having it? Or?
No, so Qatar is
they were just serving Budweiser, so I guess
it would have been. Yeah, it would have been just Budweiser. And Budweiser allegedly spent like $75 million for the exclusive rights to serve. I wonder if they get any money back.
I don't know.
Probably not, because it's everything. All the broadcast is still brought to you by Budweiser, King of Beers. Here's the replay, and Todd. What my favorite thing about soccer and trying to get Todd to watch it is like the replay is people trying hard because the game ended 0-0. So it's like the highlights of the game. Oh, that guy ran fast. That guy kicked it at the goal. I can't. That and sumo are the two things I can't get Todd into when I'm in the barn watching those sports. I was watching sumo last night.
Just because those are the two sports you play,
that I enjoy.
I mean, you play on the TV.
Yeah, any sport. You're right. Well, I've seen you watch American football.
I can watch football.
Yeah, but soccer, no.
I'd rather watch soccer than baseball.
You'd rather watch soccer than baseball? Oh, yeah, I like them both. I could watch some baseball, but
so what's your Canadian beer?
No, I don't have one. What's your Canadian beer?
La Fin du Monde, probably.
You're making both of you guys are making stuff
right
up.
off the top of his head.
I love that beer. It's a great beer.
Oh, it's real. It's not fake. Okay,
pretty sure it's Canadian.
My favorite Seagram's. Is that even a Canadian whiskey? I was trying to think of some Canadian whiskey. I'm
probably pronouncing it wrong, but I think it's La Fin du Monde.
That's on brand for the show. If that we're not pronouncing it right, but.
Okay.
This is another one of those too where you could text it or call us a voicemail. Let us know what you would pick for your beer to represent America, but tell us why. Don't just tell me. I'm not going to play your voicemail if you just say, no, it's good. I like Todd's answer. Deschutes freshly squeezed is a great answer. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a great hop grown in the United States, and it's the pinnacle of the American beer.
Oh my
gosh. IPA. I know how you guys love IPAs.
You have bad.
I'm sure y'all would enjoy it.
The king of bad answers. That's what that is. I'd almost make you a $5 bet that the vast majority of feedback would agree with us, but I don't want to lose a $5 bet because people are more trollish and.
I will bet you $5 that more people would like my choice than yours.
Than PBR?
Yeah.
Oh, no bet. No, because if I get through the month of December, I win the bet that I'm not going to lose any more $5 bets to you.
I want everybody to blow up his voicemail and email on this. Yeah.
PDR, dude, I would. Oh no, freshly squeezed IPA is a way better American choice. Whatever. Anyway,
now if you guys would have said Texas, I would have said Shinerbach.
Oh, that is Or well, my pop would have said Lone Star, buddy. All right, that's the national beer of Texas. I know. I'm with you. Shinerbach is. Or Fireman's 4 actually might have been my choice.
I do like Fireman's 4, yeah.
Yeah, well, Fireman 4 is like my generation's Shinerbach in regards to the introduction to craft beer. If you're in Central Texas or anywhere in Texas and you're at a sports bar, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller's Light, Fireman's 4. And then, and Shinerbach as well. But when Fireman's 4 was introduced, I was like... Yeah, and it's a sweet, nice little simple blonde beer. I like that. But anyways, Jack, thank you so much for submitting that question. Our third and final question for this week's episode is another voicemail. It's our buddy Will from Abilene.
Hey guys, this is Will from Abilene. I have a couple of questions about Keezers. I recently bought a used 5-tap Keezer. Overall, it's in excellent condition. I disassembled and cleaned the liquid disconnects and faucets, but there was still beer in the liquid lines, and I don't know how long it's been there, so I plan to replace them. My first question is there a way to remove the lines from the barbs without cutting them off? I tried my hardest, and they wouldn't budge, so I just cut them. Secondly, do I need to disassemble and clean the gas disconnect and replace those lines also? The regulator is a bit rusty, and there is some dried brown goo in one of the gas lines that I'm worried might be what's left from rusty moisture from the regulator settling and evaporating. It's my first experience with kegging and Keezers, so I have a lot to learn. Thanks for the podcast and the YouTube videos. They've been a great help. And I emailed help@techconnection.com, and Josh didn't even forward me to Todd. He answered my question all on his own. So good job, Josh.
That's awesome.
I'd like to point out a disclaimer on that when we come to it.
Now, how dare you? How dare you?
You know what I'm going to say.
No, let's get it out there at the beginning.
He basically tried to get me to answer it, and I was like, dude, you know the answer to that. You have to answer it yourself.
I did. That is true, Will. I'm sorry. You deserve transparency, Will. I was reading it out loud. I just set up my computer in Todd's office. I'm sitting there. I'm reading it out loud, and Todd goes, "Are you talking to me?" I go, "I kind of am." I said, "What would you tell him?" And he go, "Josh," he like slams his table or whatever. "You've been at this company for 14 and a half years. What would you answer him? What would you answer?" And so then I'm nervous and I'm sweating. I'm fumbling and I get the answer out and he's like, "Okay, so then write that on the computer and hit send." You have broken me.
It's exactly how I said it, James. Exactly. I sounded just like that when I said it.
Yeah. It's amazing how close that is.
Thank you, James. Thanks. I've been working on it. Him and Kermit the Frog are the two impressions I do best. No, but Will, first off, Abilene, that's a stone throw away from us. We always appreciate local people.
Yeah, he had my accent.
You're like,
he kind of sounded like JR for our FedEx rep from too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is JR Abilene or is he in Brownwood?
He's
Abilene.
Oh, Abilene. Look at that. It is it's JR's alter ego. Todd, I'm going to throw it to you, actually, because you are the resident Keezer guy. And also, too, this is a great time, pushing. If you're going to be replacing components and all that, look, we always have great deals at Tech Connection. This weekend just happens to be the weekend that you're going to get some really good pricing, fast shipping, $9.95 flat rate shipping, all the good stuff on top of it. So with all that in mind, Todd, how would you address Will's question?
So the first thing was, do I have to cut? Is there some way to get the beer lines off without cutting them? The answer is yes, but I'm going to qualify that. This is a really old Keezer, so I'm assuming he means the beer lines were stuck after he got the clamp off, because he didn't really talk about the clamp. If it has an Oettinger clamp, which is a clamp like a stepless clamp that doesn't have any where to put a screwdriver to loosen it up, obviously, then you just take a pair of pliers and you can twist that off. But the problem is, when you've got one that's that old, that beer line is really stuck to that barb and it's really hard to get off. So I personally would just cut it off, because he said he was going to replace the beer lines. So if you're going to replace the beer lines anyway, there's no reason not to cut it off. Yeah. If you aren't going to replace the beer line, that's so funny because our phone just rang and it says Abilene, Texas. So he's already disagreeing with me, I guess, right? So if you are going to cut it, or if it is something that you're not going to replace the beer line, you could still cut it off right at the edge and then pull it off and then redo it, because that's what I would do. So you're going to lose like 3/4 of an inch. That's not really going to affect your restriction. So you're pretty much fine cutting it off no matter what, I would say.
Yep.
As far as, when people give me directions, I always say, you can't give me more than 2 turns, but in this situation, you can't give me more than 1 turn, because that's the only question of the 3 I remember, Josh.
Oh, like the second one, do I need to disassemble and clean the gas disternets and replace those lines as well?
I think James should answer that. He's with CM Becker.
James, the CMB disternet man. Go ahead.
Yeah, simple flathead screwdriver. We call the lid. Is unscrews from the top. You've got 3 parts underneath that lid. You've got a gasket, a spring, and you've got the depressor. And those things come apart real easy. They're easy to clean. You can soak them in a little dishwashing liquid, rinse them good, put them back together, just snug the lid back in place, and you're done. It's simple.
And if for whatever reason let's say one of the top O-rings or something was worn, we carry the entire line of replacement parts that he can get.
And shipping to Abilene's 1 day. So
and they're very serviceable. That's the great thing about the disternets and the regulator, everything that you'll make with CM Becker. They're very serviceable, straightforward, intended for people to be able to do it themselves, not have to send them off or do a full replacement. Like, the disternets, disassemble it, soak them, brew clean, Todd, a hot
brew clean would be great,
and then reassemble them how they came apart, and bada bing, bada boom, they're like new.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to take them apart. They're easy to put together and they're easy to take apart.
Yeah, I agree. What was the third one, Josh?
Yeah, he said the regulator is a bit rusty and there's some dried brown goo in one of the gas lines. I'm worried might be what's left from rusty moisture from the regulators that was settling and evaporating. That might be a bad transcription. But the regulator, he's worried of the integrity of the regulator. How would y'all...
Okay, well, James and I answered a question, so we'll let you take this one, Josh.
I would replace it. I would go to catchandetchin.com and buy a brand new CM Becker regulator on sale right now through Cyber Monday weekend.
Okay. Never mind, I'll answer it. So the regulator itself, he's worried about what's in the line, that it basically may have had some rusty water or something that got in the line.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, maybe from condensation. I've never seen that before.
It could have got flooded too.
Yeah, I'd be worried that somehow that thing backed up. I don't know what kind of regulator it was. I don't know if it had a check valve on it. If it was me personally, I would probably take the regulator apart and look in there and make sure that it doesn't have a bunch of sticky, gooey beer inside the regulator. You could, most of the time it's not terribly difficult to take a regulator apart, but it depends on what brand it is. So, in that case, maybe you should give us a call and ask for me if you want, or James, either one of us. We're both very knowledgeable on it, and
send it to us and let us test it.
Yeah. You can send it to us, and we'll be happy to look at it and turn it around. I just don't know what it is. So if it's a Taprite, or it's a CM Becker regulator, or even there's a few other brands. You could, if it is bad, you could take it apart, replace the diaphragm, and replace what's called the cartridge, and do a regulator rebuild. And that would be that's not terribly difficult. And there's comes with instructions, so you can do that. If it's one of the inexpensive Chinese regulators, which it might be if it didn't have a check valve in it, those things typically don't last a very long time. I would probably throw it in the trash can, and I would Josh actually had the right answer on that. Yeah.
Yeah, the crowd goes wild. Yeah, well, like you said, though, for him specifically, because we're taking his question, and it is a very specific contextual question. You do need to know some of those details, like the brand and that, because like you said, there are people in the industry selling some very low quality ones to keep their cost of their kits down, and those regulators they just don't last. Period.
No,
they're terrible. I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's unfortunate, especially sometimes when y'all get phone calls like, I just got this 4 years ago. Can you help me service it? And the answer basically is like, we can't. Like, we can't service that.
I mean, maybe it's to our advantage that we sell really high quality regulators, but I wish other people didn't sell cheap ones that are not very well made, because they end up calling me and I have to deal with it. Right. So, I mean, it's, I wish everybody just sold a quality one, because we want the whole industry. We want people to like the industry, and we want people to be comfortable with it. So yeah, the quality of a good, the CM Becker, the Taprite, there's, I don't know why I can't. Chudnow makes a good one.
Yeah. Well, no, not anymore. Toff is probably who you're thinking of.
Well, Chudnow still makes a regulator.
Oh,
not Chudnow. I'm sorry. What's the soda company that I'm trying to say, James?
Cornelius?
No, Cornelius makes a good regulator.
Yeah, Micromatic makes one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just saying they make them. He didn't.
Well, the thing about Micromatic is they sell a lot of different ones. So yeah, it's
lots of configurations.
Yeah. But I think, Will, benefiting from your geographical location, you could, tap into the knowledge of Todd and James. You send them a photo if you don't want to make the hour, 20-minute drive or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that is something that they're like, Todd is absolutely passionate about, and getting people drinking their beer at home is, like the purpose of Keg Connections' existence is get draft system pros, basically.
And I want to make sure I point out he's an hour and 20 minutes away, like you said. If you want to bring the regulator to us, we may end up having to sell you a new regulator, but if we could fix your old one, we do take payment in beer as well. It's not really payment, because
he could go buy Joe Allen's barbecue and just bring some Joe Allen's barbecue.
Barbecue and beer would really get your regulator rebuilt very well.
Is that the place in Abilene? Joe
Allen's is a good spot. Yeah.
Allen's. I'll have to remember that. I don't go to Abilene enough, and it's not far in the bitter. I mean, somebody laughed at me not even a few weeks ago about how you Texans, y'all just measure it in hours. Like, you're not measuring things in miles.
Because everything's an hour away.
That's what I'm saying.
We drive a lot faster than some states as well. So.
I think this guy was like in Boston or somewhere up there. It just like, well, how far is Dallas from your house? And I was like, I don't know, like 3.5 hours. He goes, but like miles. I was like, I have no idea. It's 3.5 hours.
I think one of the reasons we do that is it really depends on where you're going, because some places you go to, you're driving 60 miles an hour, and some places you go to, you're driving 85 miles an hour. So miles doesn't really do it justice as much as time.
It doesn't,
right?
Yeah. When I go
that trip to Ruidoso, most of the roads were 60 to 65 miles an hour. It's like you get in the mountains, it's 45, and it's like, this is ridiculous.
But on those highways, I refuse to believe James Carlson was doing the speed limit. That's a lie.
I always do.
No,
always do.
What?
I do. Yeah, I have never had a speeding ticket
in your life.
In my whole life. Never
to be fair, I wasn't.
You have deserved one, to be fair, though. On your Corvette,
I got pulled over in the car going 110, and he let me go.
Yeah. So there was a time when you did
2 years ago tomorrow.
Was the date?
Really? You know that? Wow,
that's funny. I'll just say
I was in the Corvette, and I had a friend pop by, and he wanted to ride in it, and I was hauling ass. Met a sheriff's department right over the hill, and I was just got into 7th gear at 110. And I saw him, and I just thought, shit.
I'm going to jail.
I just pulled over, put my hazards on, and he let me go.
Put your hands out the window.
So he pulled over before the guy even got his lights on.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah, that was one of the things. He says, you pulled over, you're fine. And I already had my license, my registration. And Bobby's over there looking at me like, see, his ex-wife, her brother's the sheriff. So they don't get along very well. And I'm like, I'm getting a ticket. And
they could take you to jail for that, right?
They could have taken
over
you to
a certain,
yeah. And he
funny.
said, let me run it anyway. So
what did he say? He said something that was really funny to you.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So I've got my license registration. He popped his head in the window and goes, you know how fast you were going? I'm like, do you want me to lie or tell you really how fast I was going? And he's like, 106. I was going a lot faster than that. And he said, you already pulled over. He said, no, I'm not going to worry about it. And he saw my license. He said, well, I better run it. So he ran my license. He came back and he said, Mr. Carlson, you're good to go. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And he said, there's no cops down that road that way.
No, he did not. No, he did not. That's the best.
He did. Oh. He did. I thought, man, that is a cool dude.
Oh,
so I said, no,
best.
Sir. I'm turning around and going right home.
Yeah.
He laughed. He was a cool guy.
I think the fastest speed limit in the United States, I may be wrong about this, is really close to you, Josh.
Is it
on that toll road? It's 85.
Well, I think it's 80. I thought it was 85 on 10 going out towards Big Bend or El Paso.
Oh, it could be. That's what I just said. I'm probably wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll be quick on a story because people are tuning out already. But I don't like going real fast if I'm not the one behind the wheel. And when we got to Germany, the first trip I went there, we were driving to Munster, and I was exhausted. I didn't sleep on the flight or anything, and I'm trying to catch up on sleep. Todd knows I hate going really, really fast. And so I'm 15 minutes into a nap. We're on the Autobahn, and Todd goes, hey, Josh, hey, wake up. You don't want to miss this. And I'm kind of waking up, and Stefan's going in and out of traffic. We're just hauling. What were we going? Probably 110, 115?
Yeah, at least 100, at least 115. We were going fast.
And Todd wouldn't let me just enjoy my sleep before we got to Munster. He had to, Josh, wait, you're not going to want to miss this, pal. It was the worst. When
we were going to the cabin at the North Sea in Amsterdam, we were in Stefan's BMW, and he was weaving in and out of traffic at 240 kilometers an hour.
Yep, that was my experience.
While talking to us.
While talking.
Looking at you.
Look at Todd.
Yeah, he'll look at you in the back seat.
Yes. Oh, I know.
Yeah, I was getting sick. I don't get car sick, but I get car sick when Stefan drives.
My mistake at the end of the day was letting Todd know going fast bothers me, because he would have let me sleep if he didn't know that, but he did know that. Anyways, Will, thank you so much for submitting the question. Guys, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate y'all's time. I'm hoping we have just the absolute busiest weekend. So busy that you're going to call me on Monday and go, Josh, you have to come up here and help out with orders. That's what I'm hoping for. And people listening, you can help us by going to ketconnection.com/sale, or just go to ketconnection.com on the homepage. Look at all the deals. We really are proud of our offering this year. I'm happy. We have a lot of interesting kits, kind of thinking outside the box solutions. And as always, we'll be here Friday. We'll be there Monday. I'll be answering the help emails. Whatever questions you have for any orders or spending the gift cards that I've given you for your voicemails and all that, please reach out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that, it's been a pretty tough year in the draft beer industry, and this may actually be a Black Friday for us if it works out, right?
Fingers are crossed.
It might bring us into the black.
It might finally. It might finally. Todd has been giving me grief. Like, Josh, I'm going to preemptively just cheers to you, man, on a successful Black Friday. I'm like,
that's right. Thank you, Josh. Ahead of time. Thank you.
I'm already bald. I can't do it. Anyways, but guys, thank you so much. I will talk to y'all next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call, be Todd's best friend, and leave us a voicemail at 325-305-6107. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a free pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join our Truck Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.